All right, tech issues are apparently fixed. This is session 23 of Masks of Nyarlathotep. England, part 11. You guys have spent a lot of time here in England. Last game, a couple of things. When you guys woke up ready to go to Henson Manufacturing to see what Gavigan might have been up to, knowing that whatever it was he was doing was not something that Zara was privy to. It was his own pet project. Nothing to do with anything that she was aware of. You guys had made a plan to head there in the morning, but when you got up in the morning, Bill was gone. Alvin has left a note saying, I'm going to go see if I can find Bill, while the rest of you didn't want the opportunity to leave, so you decided to travel to Derby, which is about 5 hours away by car or train. Get some eyes on Henson Manufacturing, try to figure out what was going on, and then go from there. In Derby, you asked around, everybody was very close-lipped. The best that you managed to get was that Henson Manufacturing paid well. They're apparently a good company to work for, but very, very small. There's like 7 employees and at least as many guards. Most of the guards are there during working hours. Watching the employees more than watching for people breaking in seemed to be the general vibe you got. When night fell and there was only a couple of security guards left, you decided to go for it. Snuck into the premises, got into the building through a unlatched window. Found the safe, managed to get it open because you found it was a 2-key safe, and you found 1 key in Gavigan's office along with a bunch of paperwork and blueprints. And then used the machinery to kind of quietly create a duplicate key. So you didn't have
We
to...
used
Sorry?
we used the crucible.
You did use the crucible. And managed to basically block out the window so nobody could see what you were doing, and managed to get another key made so you could open the safe. Inside the safe, you found these strange stone objects that looked like pieces of machinery of various sizes and shapes. The professor managed to roughly date it to sometime around in the Paleolithic era, which is a sizable chunk of time. The Paleolithic era is anything from about 1.5 million years ago to 200,000 years ago. So these very obviously machine parts predate what you know of the emergence of human sapiens. It seems as though here at Henson Manufacturing, Gavigan was using these fossilized parts to cast molds and then to machine new parts. You're not exactly sure what they're for. The blueprints, Luther managed to determine that they were perhaps some sort of very high-tech engine, the likes of which he'd never seen, and fairly large. The blueprints for the device also incorporated sigils that you managed to identify as being related to Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos, the avatar of the elder gods, some sort of deity in this monomythic religion that you've stumbled across. You have paperwork showing that these fossilized parts were sent from Australia, and then the refurbished new parts were sent to China. The parts from Australia were specifically sent by Dr. Houston, a member of the Carlisle expedition, rumored to be dead. And they are sent to someone referred to as Pale Viper in China. You also found paperwork tying Gavigan specifically to Jackson's death. And that same unfinished letter indicated that they believed that Jack Brady, a member of the expedition, was still alive and could pose a threat to something referred to as the Great Plan. Gathering up all this information, you guys decided you didn't want these parts falling into anybody's hands, and decided to put some dynamite inside the safe, close the door, and make your escape. Everything went swimmingly until you realized that you did not hear any sound of the dynamite exploding. So Dr. Carter decided to go back into the main workshop of the manufacturing plant, double check the dynamite, make sure it goes off. And on his way in, he was spotted by guards. And that is where we left off. For Alvin, you've managed to basically track down Bill, and basically Bill is not home. Bill is... You've never actually seen somebody scared out of their mind before, but now you have. Whatever Bill has read in the books, whatever he has stumbled across, whatever has been haunting his dreams, he is not coherent beyond just blabbering about how he needs to get out, he needs to get away, something is coming, something bad is coming, he doesn't want to be here anymore, he needs to get away. Just kind of like this single-mindedness to get away from whatever is coming. I
assume I get him committed.
Yes, you can basically kind of convince him to say, like, okay, let's go someplace safe, and have him involuntarily committed. That will...
And then I go back to the house and I find the note, and I'm like, oh crap, what did they get themselves into?
Exactly.
And then I drive to go save them.
Or to catch up with them. Or to witness their demise.
Earth-shattering kabooms, yes.
It's all basically the same.
It's all the same thing. All right, so we will pick up with you guys in Derby. Dr. Carter.
I think we had the guard had a glimpse after I got back in, when I was getting back in.
Exactly. But just in case it might matter, we'll go to this kind of better map of Henson Manufacturing. Dr. Carter has gotten himself into the building. Salvatore and Luther and Evelyn are outside. Everything on this is not quite to scale. But this building right here is the main manufacturing thing. And there are a couple of guards that have seen Dr. Carter kind of go in through the window. So we will let you guys decide what you would like to do.
Well, I'm crouched and I'm trying to get to the safe door.
Chris, is Dr. Carter aware that he's been spotted?
He is not yet.
So I got in, locked the window behind me, and trying to get to the safe.
Yep. Give me a spot hidden roll.
You're like, everything is going swimmingly.
I'm still trying to be stealthy because we had a couple of times where they checked on the place, and we just stopped moving and it went fine. So I'm still on the mood of like, let's go discreetly but fast. So spot hidden. Oh yeah, it's one of the one I can't reach. So if you could prompt that from me.
Okay. I'm not going to make the scene dark just so you guys can actually see, but...
Can you refresh my memory? How did he get back in? Because there's fencing there, right?
Yeah, he climbed over the wall. Right. So from outside, you guys can see the lights of the guards kind of moving in the direction that Dr. Carter went.
I think Luther's going to try to make himself small, and that's a walled fence, right?
It is. It's like a 3-meter high cement wall.
So yeah, he'll move kind of like here and keep low.
Okay. Move right up against it, sort of thing.
Yeah, so like it's really hard to see unless you're looking right straight down.
Perfect.
And he'll pull his pistol with his good arm.
Okay.
I'll do the same.
Okay.
Me too.
All right.
Luther seems to know what he's doing.
So everybody is pulling out Luther's pistol.
With his good arm.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd really appreciate that.
So from outside, you guys can see, it looks like the guards are kind of in the vicinity of the window you guys went through, judging from their lights. And you can hear voices too. You can hear them, they're speaking with like a, kind of lower class British accent. They're definitely local boys. They're like, I saw them moving over this way. It's like, check the door, make sure it's still locked. That sort of general chatter, indicating that perhaps they haven't actually spotted Dr. Carter so much as they spotted movement that they're looking for the source of.
Well, I expect there's going to be a distraction very soon. Seeing that Dr. Carter's playing with dynamite.
It's entirely possible. Right. Dr. Carter. You can see lights bobbing around. You can hear the voices. It doesn't seem as though they have spotted you, but they're aware that there is something in the vicinity that they're checking out.
I'm gonna try to take cover close to some cover from the light.
Okay. Give me one second. There we go. We will darken things a little bit. So yes, there are no lights on inside the warehouse, so it's dark. Outside, there's a couple of like street lights outside. None around the corner where you guys are, and you can see the flashlights kind of moving around. Dr. Carter, how long are you waiting for?
Like the light are shining through the windows, I guess.
They are.
But most of the window were blocked out, if I remember well.
Yes.
So I should be able to hide for a while.
Yep. Just kind of a question of how long you're giving them.
As long as the door is not opening, like I'd be ready to wait like a few minutes.
Okay. There is a rattling at the door, but it doesn't open. You know, enough of a rattling to kind of give you like a little, your heart, skips a beat sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But it seems more like they're checking the door as opposed to opening the door. And then after probably 10, 15 minutes where they don't spot any movement, don't hear anything, they kind of continue about their patrols. They're a little bit on alert, but they are no longer focused directly on this building.
I mean, if the thing did not explode by now, it won't. So
Yeah.
I still have work to do.
It is definitely not exploded yet. Do you turn a flashlight on inside the building?
Can I open the door without the safe door?
If you can find it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna try to find a door and open the light very close to it.
Okay. We'll call that a spot hidden. Okay. All right. So you kind of stumble around in the dark and bang your shins up against a work table, trying really hard not to knock over any tools or anything that might cause any undue amount of noise. You're not exactly sure where the safe is from where you are. You can feel around for it, but it is going to take considerable time.
At some point, I'm gonna just open the light towards the floor
Okay.
so I can see my way in without trying to avoid flashing the windows.
Okay. The rest of you that are waiting outside, how long are you giving Dr. Carter? Until he comes back? Until you hear a kaboom? Till the sun comes up?
That after 5 minutes or so of like once these guys go back up patrol, like it's kind of threat levels reduced. Luther's going to make his way back around kind of north and east and south to the old brickworks. See about making his way back up to that plank.
Okay.
If nothing else, I can see people with flashlights from the roof of this place.
Gotcha. Okay. What about Eleanor and Salvatore?
I don't know who Eleanor is, but Evelyn.
Sorry, Evelyn. Yes, that's what I meant.
Evelyn is going to fall behind as Luther makes his way around the building because she can't hobble along as fast as he can.
Oh, we'll go slow.
She'll try to keep up. What are you doing?
Shh, go with me.
And she'll follow him.
Come on, Sal.
And all three of you can give me a stealth check with a bonus die.
Oh dear. I don't know if that's enough. Oh,
Sorry, are we all going on Bad Decision Island and going in?
yep. Well, we're going around on Bad Decision Island, but yes.
So sorry, we each need to do a stealth check, or like the lowest stealth does.
No, everybody, stealth check with a bonus die.
I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. All right. So you guys are making your way around. Evelyn Luther, you guys are being very quiet. But as you are making your way, and you're like just kind of just past the main gates. Down in this general area. You do hear a voice from inside going like, "Hey, what's that outside?
I thought we were going north.
Are you going north and around or south and around?"
I was thinking north and around, but I mean, a noise is a noise. Probably
Yeah.
the same thing.
It's the same thing. I mean, the big difference is there's no gate over that way.
Yeah, that's why I thought we were going north.
I'm fine with it.
So yes, there is a call from inside. Apparently, they have heard a noise, and you can see the flashlights kind of coming in your direction.
Yeah, it's probably like this is a whole little village place, right?
Yes.
So it should be fairly easy for us just to scoot off and
Yeah, it's
lay
gonna
down.
it's gonna take you more time to get into the position you wanted to, but you can definitely kind of scoot around.
I mean, if they're looking at us instead of him, that's great.
Yep.
True. We're legally walking around the outside of the gate, around the outside of the fence. So, really, what are they gonna do?
I'm back.
All right, Dr. Carter, you managed to find the safe.
I'm gonna open the door carefully.
Okay. Just as you left it, stick of dynamite and all.
How much fuse is there left?
A fair bit, actually.
Can I assume that by closing the door, I cut the air source and it just died?
Yes.
Well, I won't be able to afford to be as well. I want it to be less destructive by just destroying what's in the vault, but I'm gonna leave the door open this time,
Okay.
and I'm gonna try to relight the fuse, but cut a bit of it in case it was like a wet spot,
Okay.
and relight it.
All right. Give me a demolitions roll.
Try to take my leave as fast as I can after that. Demolition.
Oof.
All right. So, like, okay. And apparently, you've either got bad dynamite or a bad fuse. You could try to push it. If you succeed, it'll work. If you fail, it will probably detonate prematurely.
Oh god. I kind of need this thing to blow. Um, yeah. Okay. So, Dr. Carter will try to do some adjustment to try to find a way for this thing to blow.
All right.
You realize that it's probably won't give him enough time to get the fuck away from here. So I'm just trying to trace a path as fast as I can to take a run and jump through the window and see how it goes.
All right. So you can push the roll, so you can try to roll a second time.
I'm still gonna unlock and open the window beforehand so I can like skedaddle as fast as I can.
Okay.
But yeah, I assume this is not gonna go well.
Push an 11% roll.
Yeah. I can spend luck on a push roll.
That's a really good question. Let's find out.
Before I roll, because
It might
I'm
come up.
banking on that. Like,
Since that may come up,
I would say there's an 89% chance that might come up.
pushing skills.
You also know who's carrying the large sack here. That's the man who's got 11% is playing with dynamite and pushing a roll.
I mean, Luther used dynamite with 0%.
Dr. Carter tried to get good at explosive, but 11%. That's what I got.
Spending luck. You have the option to push the roll or spend luck. Luck points may not be spent to affect the results of a pushed roll.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit.
So you can basically say like, okay, this dynamite's not gonna blow, or you can try to light it and then hope you get far enough away.
Oh, God.
Neither option is good.
If I assume the dynamite's not gonna blow, could I just put a bunch of paper and oil and shit in the vault and try to light it on fire? And hope at some point the dynamite's gonna explode?
You can certainly try that.
Because still 11% and I cannot spend luck.
No, this isn't a demolition roll. Like if you're just like starting if you're going full out arson, just leaving the dynamite someplace where the fire might catch it. That's not the same as placing an explosive for a deliberate timed explosion.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the best and going for arson.
Yes, there are a bunch of like highly flammable chemicals for the manufacturing process in the various cabinets you guys found during your initial foray exploration. So there's a ton of highly flammable and dangerous chemicals easily accessible. You can like soak down some rags and throw them in there, toss a match, put the dynamite nearby, and hope for the best.
I'm gonna leave the door of the vault wide open and the dynamite with a bunch of accelerants inside and a trail for the fire to get there.
All right.
And yeah.
Perfect.
And light the whole place on fire.
Yep. Full-on arson is much easier than controlled explosion.
Yeah, I'm trying to get good at control explosion, but not yet.
Baby steps, man. Baby steps.
We learn something new every day. Arson is not the same role as demolitions.
Yeah. Anybody can start a fire.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
You know, in the Arkham horror game and the Eldritch horror game, there is one of the investigators that starts with kerosene specifically for that reason.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you
And
just
I'm
need
gonna
to
put
burn
a
something down.
I'm gonna put a rag over my face for the fumes and to not be recognized if the guard catch a glimpse of me.
All right. Give me one last stealth roll on your way out. Actually, let's call it a luck roll just to see where the guards happen to be at that particular moment. Unless you want to wait around in the building.
I'll go with the luck roll.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so you move your way back over to the window, and you can see the guards' flashlights are in that general vicinity.
At that point, everything is laid down but not lit.
Yeah, well, the window's a fair distance from where the window is.
Okay. So the guard are near the windows where I wouldn't go out.
No, there are not. I mean,
Okay.
there are, but you've got them all blocked off. It'll take you some time to unblock them and everything.
No, I mean the one in which I was planning to go out.
That's the one where the guards are as they kind of do their patrols. You can give them like 5-10 minutes. Sure, the dynamite won't catch in that time.
Damn it. Um. Uh, I'm not gonna wait for them to go away. I'm just gonna wait for because there's a fire that's gonna grow, I guess.
Yep.
To either for them to be facing away from me or for them to pay attention to the fire.
All right. Give me one final stealth roll.
Oh yeah, I need you to prompt that one. I got a 2. Why is it 29?
I didn't see it too. I don't see your dice rolls come up.
Oh, it's fine. I'll spend the luck.
Okay.
All
right.
Luck's...
I got it. I don't know how much access you have on your tablet, so.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. All right. So you kind of wait. You kind of wait till they're just around the corner, and the flames are kind of licking. They kind of catch very quickly with those chemical-soaked rags, and you're like, okay, and you get to the point where you can't wait any longer. And just as that moment, the guards kind of go around the corner, and you're like, okay, it's now or never. But the successful stealth check, you managed to get out.
I'm gonna take a dash and try to climb.
Okay. No problem. The guards are basically on the other end of their patrol, so you can climb the wall given time. Those of you from your vantage point, you can see the guards kind of patrolling around. They kind of stop over by the window, start making their way again. From your vantage point, you can see Dr. Carter make his way out. And when he opens the window to come out, there is the slightest hint of smoke in the as the sun is starting to rise, is that very early twilight-ish time, and a little curl of smoke kind of comes up. But Dr. Carter does manage to escape and meet up with the group.
Doc, I thought there was supposed to be an explosion.
Ah, shit.
That doesn't sound good.
The dynamite the fuse we got is busted. Uh, if I was to try to find a way to light it up, I would have been like next to it. So I did the next best thing.
Which was
Kind of light a bunch of oily rags on fire next to the dynamite. That place is gonna probably burn down.
Well, we should probably go.
Yeah, and you guys
Yeah.
can see now. You can see like some smoke starting to kind of like really whirl out of the windows as the various flammable chemicals start to catch. And there is a bunch of activity from the guards running around trying to figure out what's going on.
but is that going to damage the parts?
Well, the dynamite is in the fire, so it's probably gonna blow up at some point.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, it's the best I could do.
Well, I got
We
no
should
other
get-
plan, so
We should get away from here and listen to the eventual explosion.
well, maybe get some distance.
Oh yeah. So I'll sing. I'll move us away from here.
Right. And yeah, and as you guys walk away, you know, there is definitely a full scale fire breaks out. You don't hear any explosions as you make your distance away, but periodically when you kind of look back, you can start to see like little licks of flame in the kind of early morning light. So there's definitely a fire, but no sign of any explosion.
I mean, those things were stone, right?
That's why I needed the dynamite to explode.
And as you guys make your way back like into the village, you know, there are some shouts from different people who have woken up early to go to work. You know, people are starting to rush around, you know, gather pails, buckets, you know, make their way there to see what they can do to help put out the fire. The general village starting to come to life early in the morning to deal with this problem. Judging from the way they are operating, it's not something they haven't dealt with before. That being said, chemical fires are super bad.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, it's likely full of diesel too, right?
Full of diesel, coal for the furnace, like a wide variety of chemicals for like stripping metals and the like.
Yeah, she'll burn.
And I poured a bunch of chemicals on the rocks, so probably not good for precision of the details. Let's hope.
Right.
You did say they were several million years old.
I don't know if that makes things better or worse.
I'm just saying that if the thing can last a million years, I'm not sure fire is the. I don't know. I'm no scientist.
Give me a mechanical repair roll, sir.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't know.
I'm no scientist. I don't know how that's going to work.
You're no scientist, nah. But you guys can make your way back to the little inn that you've rented. Just for ease of play, we'll say by this time, because it is almost an entire day later since you guys left London. We'll say that Alvin has managed to make his way to Derby, and as a trained private investigator, managed to track down where you guys are staying. You're like the only outsiders in town. It's not that hard.
Okay. He needs about 15 minutes.
Oh,
The player, that is.
okay.
So he can join us when he joins us.
Yep. But yes, you guys have managed to get some information, managed to start a fire in Henson Manufacturing that may or may not do what you wanted it to do. And it is 3 hours in the morning. It's like 4:30 in the morning.
I think try to get some sleep.
Oh. Yeah, sleep sounds good.
How many rooms did we rent?
However many rooms you wanted to, really. I'm assuming probably at least 2.
At least 2.
Well, I imagine we got rooms, adjacent rooms like we normally do, or attempted to at least.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, Luther's gonna head to his room, make sure everyone's home and in one piece, and he's going to bed. He's been up forever.
Going on 20 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, I go to my room and I just crash.
Okay. Alrighty. While you sleep.
oh no. While you sleep shouldn't be an ominous phrase, and yet.
Yeah, it should be the next day. You all wake up refreshed and happy.
That's never ever what happens.
Never what happens.
It's happened once, I think.
Well, there was you guys had a nice refreshing sleep while the evil nightmare monsters were looking over you.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Those guys are
Right.
nice.
Reassuring.
Let's see one sec here. Trying to find something in this massive tome of a book.
That is
I'm
also
gonna let the dog out while you're looking at it. I'll be
All
just a second.
Alex, could you bring me the spray bottle? Thank you. Careful.
All right. So, for everybody, except for probably Alvin, he's probably still on the road. I don't know if Tony's back for the dream sequence or not.
I think everyone else is AFK for a second.
Oh, okay.
I think Tony went to take out his dog or something.
Yeah.
Bruce.
Well, you could just fast forward and skip all that, and we could have a nice, pleasant sleep. As is the Norman Call of Cthulhu, right?
Oh yeah, people get a good night's sleep all the time.
Everybody has a nice, peaceful, restful sleep. Except
Hit that rest button. Have your food. Roll for your food and water.
Everyone except the people. Although, I mean, quite a few of the townspeople aren't getting a whole lot of rest because we lit a building on fire. It apparently pays people really well.
all right, Tony's back. Is Yorick back?
He says, just a minute.
Okay.
I'm not sure what tempo translates to, but
And just a minute, tempo got taken away by the wind. I'm like, is that a cat or?
don't know.
That's a hell of a win.
Is it like the chimney? I don't know.
God, I hope not. Wish people in hell of a wind though.
All right. So as you lie sleeping, you feel, all of you, Salvatore, Luther, Evelyn, Dr. Carter, you find yourself alone in the dark. Chillingly cold. When you speak, when you call out for anyone, your voice echoes as you kind of grope around blindly. You can feel heaps of sand and dust.
Oh no, not that again.
But everything has like all of the smells and the echo of your voice sounds flat, lifeless. You begin to follow a slope, like a ramp. Climbing it up, you see a faint light in the distance, very far away, too far for your eyes to see as you adjust to the light. You kind of follow it until you come to a vast cavern, immeasurably old. The rocks around you are dry and brittle. And then the lights that you're following from the end of a corridor begins to move towards you at an increasing pace. You realize that you're running towards it. And you've come into a ledge overlooking a city of some nature. Weird towers, flat-topped pyramids, angles that don't exist in normal space, buildings that seem to fold in onto themselves. The whole thing looks like, for the players, like a medieval city painted by Escher. From the top of one of these buildings is where the light is coming, the noise is coming from, and you can hear this buzzing noise that starts to become more of a droning and then more of a chanting. You see in the city below you dozens of people, a mixture of races, dark-skinned, Caucasian, Middle Eastern, dancing around like a burning oil drum. The language occasionally kind of mutates into English and then fades out again. They seem to be prayers to something called the Father of all Bats. And then at the climax of their chanting of their prayer, they put a board across the top of the oil barrel, extinguishing the fire. But you know, sometimes when you stare at a fire or a light after it turns off, you still see that after image in your eye. The after image of the fire seems to be a strange glowing red eye that looks at you,
Shit.
which is when you wake up in a cold sweat. And everybody can give me a sanity roll.
Fuck.
Yeah, that sums it up nicely.
Sorry, Chris, what was the name of the entity they were praying to? The bat thing?
The father of all bats.
Oh, I missed that by 1.
Oh,
You can't spend luck on a luck roll.
Sandy.
No, you cannot. The good news is, after your sanity drops by a point, you will have failed it by 2.
Twice as good.
Right. So that will be a point of sanity loss for Evelyn and a point of sanity loss for Luther.
Did you take it off or do I?
No, you can take it off.
There we go.
Test.
Yep.
You're welcome back.
You found a shitty dream. Roll sanity.
No, Alvin didn't have the dream. He didn't sleep. He was driving through the night.
God. Oh, great.
Son of a...
I almost said it was a bad thing because everything here is bad.
Well, then there you go. That's the secret. Just never sleep.
Yeah, if you miss sessions, you do great in this game. It's the way to go.
Attend the first and last session of the campaign. You'll be fine.
And then you're like, hey, this game's not that bad. What are you guys complaining about?
But in the morning, you guys wake up after like 3 hours of deeply troubled sleep, and realize that you can't get back to bed. So you kind of stumble down to the little dining area of this bed and breakfast / inn that you're renting rooms at. Alvin, you've basically dealt with Bill, driven through the night, asked around in this village, and been directed to where the rest of the investigators are, where they're staying.
Fantastico.
There is quite a hubbub in the village as you're looking around. Seems like there's some sort of fire has broken out of one of the manufacturing plants, and people are like doing their best over the last 3 hours or so to kind of get this blaze under control. They're still fighting the fire. But you can find where the rest of the people are, who are basically nursing their tea or coffee, adding whatever whiskey to it they would like. They all look exhausted, bags under the eyes, kind of drawn, like they've recently been through some shit.
Hey, Alvin.
Hey, you guys look like you've driven through the night, but that's me.
Mm.
I just want to say that whatever's happening out there, I didn't do it.
Oh, so that is something we did.
I'm saying it's something I didn't do.
He's telling the truth.
The list of things you wouldn't do is very small.
Oh, I didn't say I wouldn't do it. I just said I didn't do it.
We should
Ah,
go upstairs.
okay. Let me get a coffee. I have news.
The coffee's middling. The tea is better.
Whiskey's fine.
Is there such thing as strong tea? I don't know.
Well, there is if you leave it if you can convince them to leave the tea bag in it long enough.
I will ask for the strongest tea they have.
They will basically get you the pot that's been on the stove since they got up in the morning.
I will take it to our room.
I'm just going to take this bottle.
When we
Yeah,
get
we'll have to Irish this coffee up a bit.
I don't know what your excuses are, but I slept terribly.
I didn't. I had to find Bill, who I found, I say as we're in our room, as I pour myself a long draw of tea.
Is he all right?
Bill will not be joining us.
Is
What,
he dead?
whatever he read in that book finally caught up to him. I found him muttering and incapable of opening a doorknob.
Oh, so it didn't catch up to him physically.
No, mentally. He,
Okay.
don't sound relieved. You did not see what he looked like. I have never seen someone scared out of their mind before, and now I can't say that anymore.
Well, that's because you didn't go to war.
I had to have the man committed. He was a danger to himself and people around him.
Oh dear.
Well, I mean, at least he's safe, right? He might come out of it. We'll just get the lawyer to check on him once in a while, maybe.
That seems like the least we could do.
We didn't know him long, but yeah, it's frightening to see someone lose their mind like that.
No, it's good evidence to stay away from those books. Except maybe Miss Collins. I mean, she's got a background or something.
Mm-hmm. But mysticism isn't for everyone.
Someone want to tell me the things that Luther didn't do?
Luther, Captain Pratt, did not light a building on fire. He did
Tonight.
Correct.
not light a stick of dynamite and leave it behind unexploded. He did not almost get captured by guards, or almost seen by guards even. He was very stealthy. I cannot say the same for Dr. Carter.
Sorry, did you say captured?
Almost. He was almost seen and caught by the guards as we were leaving.
But good news, we found molds and, well, strange things, mechanical things, apparently from when the dinosaurs were around that make a giant engine that shouldn't exist and shouldn't work. But we got blueprint. It don't make much sense, but
I must have misheard you, Luther. You said, luckily or fortunately, we found molds.
Not the plant kind, the mechanical engineering kind. Like if you were going to cast something in metal. Right?
yeah, it's probably not fortunate, but yeah, molds for making things.
I'm going to need a little bit more. Not a lot more, just a little.
So apparently, somebody from Evelyn, you know these names better than I do. What dude from Australia or something was sending stuff?
Yes. Dr. Huston from Australia has been sending these parts to Gavigan, who either had been making molds with them or he sent the molds to Gavigan and they were casting the parts. And then they're shipping those parts, I believe, to China.
That's my take on it.
I'd have to
What
go
are they parts
through
of?
An engine.
some kind of machine.
Pretty sure it's an engine. I mean, it's too big to work, but
Yes, a blueprint for an engine design that had the sigil of
An engine that predates the dinosaurs?
known civilizations. Yes.
dinosaur adjacent or something. Sure, it makes a lot of sense to somebody.
So to this, Alvin like drains the boiling hot cup of tea, and he pours himself another one.
Luther hands him the bottle.
Thank you. He puts a 50-50 there.
Dr. Carter's a bit more educated when it comes to the dynasties of different civilizations, but this seems to predate all of them. Yes.
Well, I'll let him give me more details when he comes out of the bathroom. He is away, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Guess the tempo got taken away by the wind.
We're not sure what the tempo is.
That could be code for something. I don't know.
No. It's a tempo. It's a plastic. It's a plastic tent that fits over your driveway to make sure that there's no snow in it and your cars don't get snowed. It's
Oh,
called a tempo in Quebec. It's
Really?
the company that makes it.
Ah, now we know.
I was guessing it was a cat or something.
So it blowing away is a big deal.
Yeah, he's got to go
Yeah.
get it.
thing. um. huh. So as far as we can tell, um, these are what was being kept in the safe. We did find a safe, or the safe, and I found a key, one of the two that were needed, and Captain Pratt was ingenious enough to cast the other one.
I used a crucible.
And so these are the things we found inside the safe. We also found letters between Gavigan and some fellow named Omar who wanted Gavigan to return the bust to him. That would be the one that's in our London hotel room. There were letters to someone called the Pale Viper. I don't know who that is. But they spoke about Jack Brady being in Shanghai. But yes, the mechanical devices we found look like they were made out of fossilized rock.
Yeah, we still. I got the blueprints right here. Actually, if you want to take a look at them.
Maybe you can make sense of what that engine is supposed to do, because according to Captain Pratt, there's no way that it could be for an airplane. It wouldn't fly. So we're wondering if it's maybe for a ship or a train.
Doesn't look like
Not
it. Looks more airplane to me, but
Well, I'm pretty sure that I won't be able to help you identify what it is. But is it dinosaur sized?
what?
Well, this is like old, right? Dinosaur old?
I
Is
guess.
this like a car for dinosaurs?
I'm not real big on this dinosaur thing anyway, but regardless, it looks like an engine, but apparently it's like forever old. It's like Genesis stuff.
Okay. So we found that they have these molds. That's the most important thing that we found.
And that they've been shipping these parts to China, and it came from Australia from a person from the expedition that should be dead.
At least in theory.
And the person who should be dead, I think you skipped that bit.
Isn't?
Yeah, the name that Miss Collins gave you was one of the members of the Carlisle expedition, I believe,
So there's a survivor,
according to these letters.
and he's working with the bad guys.
If the Blue Viper is a bad guy, which
Pale Viper. And
Pale
likely
Viper.
yes. Yes, Dr. Huston was sending them from Australia. And then Gavigan was, it seems, making new metal versions of these parts and sending those parts to China.
So we assume that the parts are bad and that they are being sent to China to be reassembled. They're making a copy of it.
That is what it seems like to me.
that's my guess.
what we guessed while we were still in the dark hiding from guards.
Is there anything else we found out at this place?
Wasn't there a letter that was written but not sent?
Yes, there was. Um,
I don't remember the details of it.
The unsent letter.
yes.
It says, for the affable Pale Viper, Elias has been dealt with by our friends in New York. Now we must turn to our other problem, namely Jack Brady. I understand that he may be in Shanghai and ask if you would direct your resources to hunting him down. It is stupefying that this troubling man has evaded us for so long. He may become an obstacle to our great plan. If you wish, I will... And then it's unfinished.
That's okay. Why didn't you lead with this? Okay, hold on.
Giant engine.
This. The letter to the Pale Viper mentions Jack Brady may be in Shanghai.
Yeah, but you didn't say that he was working against them.
No,
This means that we're not alone.
True.
It means that we're not alone and someone knows what they're doing and can explain it to us. They talked about a great plan, and so this Brady guy probably knows is getting in their way. So he knows what this great plan is.
In theory.
Just as a note, since you guys have the actual physical letter, great plan is capitalized.
Capitalized, yeah.
Right. So they're clearly doing something. Now these parts are part of the great plan. I get it. I understand. I can see why it's very big and would seem really important. And I'm glad that we destroyed them. They are destroyed, right? The fire has destroyed all of this stuff.
Well, that's the thing. The dynamite.
I wish I'd heard the dynamite go, honestly.
It would have been a bit reassuring, yes. Dr. Carter had left a stick of dynamite in the safe. Our intention was to blow up those rock versions of the parts so that no more molds could be made. and they couldn't be duplicated. But the dynamite didn't explode, so we settled for fire.
Well, I mean, the day's not over yet.
That's very true.
And I'm definitely gonna pick up more books about dynamite.
Okay, so but at least we slowed them down, right? They're whatever they're using to build this. Okay, great. So
And
we need to make sure.
whatever use Omar has for this bust and requesting it back from Gavigan, he's not getting it because we have it.
So we break the bus so he can never get it, and then we have to save the only surviving member of the Carlisle expedition,
One of two.
Not exactly the only survivor.
Dr. Lawrence.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, don't be sorry. You know, everyone needs to use the bathroom every once in a while.
Yeah. From the notes we got, the piece that were excavated, that led to the creation of those plans, were sent by a member of the expedition that is supposed to be alive, that is supposed to be dead right now, which apparently is not, because he's sending mechanical piece from the Neolithics to those people.
So there are
From a-
two surviving members. One is doing terrible things because we know he's involved with Elias's death, and the other one is working against them. So that's a potential ally who has more information and knows more than we do, and he is being targeted. So we need to go save him.
That's what I had in mind. Like, the two places that I see as like a good next point was Shanghai, to try to get in touch with this guy. I don't know how, but we need to. Or Carol.
Cairo would put us closer to this Omar who wants the bust.
Just as a
So I think that we do have a matchbook. That's the only thing other than this letter that we have that relates to Shanghai at all. But it would be
The only reason why I'm not more into Shanghai is because we have very little to go on in Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't that boat going to Shanghai?
Yeah, the parts were being delivered there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we also know that this boat and whoever is taking charge of it is involved.
Theoretically, they're not necessarily involved, but they've definitely been hired to go there. Just because they've been hired to go doesn't mean they know what they're shipping.
I mean, involved in the large sense that those pieces. I was not talking about the people, but about the boat and his content.
Mm-hmm.
Like the individual sailors are not culprit for now.
That we know of.
They're just shipping things.
Yeah. So two kind of very quick points. One, from what you guys can tell, Henson Manufacturing is legitimately shipping things. There's like invoices and bills of lading and shipping labels, the whole 9 yards. The second thing is the letter from Omar that references the bust. Also specifies that Omar and Gavigan are allies in the Great Endeavor.
The Great Plan or the Great Endeavor, or is it the same thing?
Tomato, tomato.
Okay, great. Just making sure that there's not two different plans.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to be clear on that Omar references and again capitalized Great Endeavor.
Yeah.
So again, the guy in Shanghai is bad, and there's a good guy in Shanghai we need to help, who doesn't even know he's being targeted.
That's I imagine he knows. Omar's in Cairo.
It's the White Viper that is in Shanghai.
As far as I can tell. but I'm not entirely convinced of that. Chris, that letter to the Pale Viper, did it have any address information on it yet, or had he not filled that?
It did not.
Okay.
The address that you have, though, is there is where is it? An invoice of fabricated materials and parts, specifically prototypes, to Pale Viper, care of Hofang Import Export Shanghai.
Oh, we have two addresses then in Shanghai, because we also have the address of the Stumbling Tiger Bar.
Yep.
That's the one on the matchbook.
So Hofang Imports Exports is the people that are receiving the shipment for Pale Viper.
Right. So that we're not likely to like what we find there, but it's a place to start. And if this Jack Brady fellow is anything like us, he's watching the place. If he's
I
not
think
like Bill went.
I think no matter what happens, we've been stumbling around, traveling across the world, and we finally have someone who we could consider an ally, who knows what's going on, or definitely knows at least more than we do.
I didn't get the feeling that we have an ally. You're hearing something different from that than I am.
Well, he's working against them. He's trying to stop the great endeavor. And they are flummoxed that they have not been able to catch him since. And he was a part of the Carlisle expedition. So he's been involved since the beginning. And now he's working against them. I'm not the smartest person. I'm not the smartest person in this room, but that sounds like an ally to me.
It's at least enemy of my enemy I need to speak with. In the least. Possibly an ally, but at least someone we need to speak with. And maybe we can help him.
As much as maybe we can help him, maybe he can help us. I don't know about you, but I've been trying. I haven't read any of the books, and I'm sorry. And I get the summarized version from those of you who are reading them, but I don't really understand. I know what they're doing is bad, but I don't understand.
I understand enough now that I think that really understanding is bad. So I think it works what we have going on right now.
I could tell you what I think is happening.
Please tell me what you think is happening.
I think that based on the timing clocks or the timing clock that we found in New York and the plans for this engine thing and the books that we've read, that they're trying to summon this father of bats using some sort of bizarre ritual that needs this engine. I think different either different engines are all going to be turned on at the same time, or each group needs to do some kind of a ritual action at the same time, which is why they have the clock. But I think they're trying to summon it.
From what I've seen, they already have the means to contact it, but they might be wanting to bring it here.
Right. And Evelyn will kind of look at Elvin and Luther to try to gauge their reactions to that.
Alvin is like, okay.
None of that makes sense. But I mean, none of this has ever made sense for the last while. So I'll go with your hypothesis. Can anyone explain to me what happens if they summon a Lord of Bats? Is that like we get
Is
a
it
lot
me,
more
or is it the Lord
bats?
of Bats thing? Is the Lord of Bats thing is the first time we hear of that? I've heard all kinds of different names of different things.
All the
think
names
that
are the same.
So,
It's all the same guy.
I think it has a bunch of name, but I think there's like 4, 5, 6 guy with each a bunch of names. So that makes it confusing. And to the
maybe
question that, sorry.
the ones that I've read about were all referring to the same creature, deity, being thing.
No, it might be the book I've been reading because they've been referring to more than one.
Well, the ones that I read referred to different names, but they all meant the same person.
We got like 5 names for this thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, anyway,
To the
so
question of what can happen if it
right,
works.
you
You
summon
remember the
in.
dream? Remember the dream we all had in New York?
Yes.
I think it's that. That's the start of it.
Well, that's not good.
No, it's not. Thing that is making my life difficult is that none of this is illegal. So there's no
No.
one we can go and ask for help.
That's a really strange distinction that I don't know how to wrap my brain around.
We need help, and I don't know who we can go for help. I cannot be judge, jury, and executioner of all those cultists.
Well, I
At
can.
this,
That's fine.
at the same time, before there was someone invented the gun, you knew you weren't allowed killing people. So these people are still trying to kill people.
Um,
Does that
I mean,
justify doing anything necessary to stop them?
the ones that need a sacrifice, humans would be the only thing considered to be a worthy sacrifice. But other than that, there's no law against turning on an engine to summon a god.
There's only one God, but if they're trying to end the
Right,
world,
but
that's whether it's illegal or not. They deserve a bullet. There's no fucking around. Like there's no other way to look at it. They're trying to end the world, then we're allowed to shoot them. Straight up.
And it's not like we don't have evidence that they can do crazy, unheard of things. We have seen it.
Luther points to his arm that's all shriveled up.
we've seen it, but really, what proof do we have?
Snake people, withered arms.
Your arm doesn't look that I mean, it does look worse than my leg. I'm sorry, but
It
there's
looks like
no-
it's 110 years old.
yes, but there's nothing to prove how it happened. There's nothing to prove the creature we saw in the artist's attic.
Well, there's
no,
nothing to. Well, you can't go out and get the police to help you if that's what you're saying, right? We're not going to convince people this is true.
right.
In a court of law, we don't have a foot or a leg to stand on. That doesn't mean it's not happening.
Oh, I agree. But really, the only thing anyone has to go on right now, if they haven't seen this kind of thing, is taking our word for it. And that might go quite a ways in some cases. I'm sure they would be happy to believe a private investigator or a war hero, but that's the only thing we have.
Well, it just means that we have to take care of it. I'm not going to sit here while the world gets ended. Sorry.
I wouldn't expect.
But I do need to sleep before the world is ended. So I'm going to take at least a 3-hour nap because otherwise I'm going to be useless. Wake me up in 3 hours when it's lunchtime. And I guess we make decisions then. I think I'm strongly for finding one person who can explain this to us.
I don't know where you're getting that person from. I think you've misheard something.
Shanghai.
Shanghai has the guy who's working against the people who are trying to put together this great plan.
And that piece of evidence comes from what exactly?
The letter.
The letter we got at the warehouse.
Can you
The one
reread
to-
that letter, Chris?
The one to Pale Viper
Yes.
that starts with Elias has been dealt with? Jackson Elias?
That would be the one, yes.
That's our friend, Jackson Elias.
Yes, but they said they
Pale
killed.
Viper is not the ally. The one
No,
who was on the Carlisle expedition. Jack.
Oh, he's our ally because they're trying to kill him.
that's right.
Well,
And he's been,
theoretically.
They're trying to kill him, and he, from the letter, is saying he's putting stops at their work on the great plan.
Yep.
Oh, I get you. It's a bit of a stretch, but I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
I
Gavigan.
know, we haven't slept well.
Yeah. Gavigan's letter directly refers to Jack Brady as a problem.
Yeah.
and a problem to them.
It's hopefully a boon to us.
It's just it's a big reach, right? But I get
What
you.
are the-
I get you where you're coming from.
I do this, right? I have to, as a living, I got to figure out what motives are. And from that letter, it sounds to me that this person not only is working against them, like the lady from the spice shop, right? The lady from the spice shop didn't like she didn't like the leadership. But it doesn't mean that she was gonna, start helping out the homeless or whatever. She's still a bad seed. This guy is specifically working against.
Well, I mean, he's a problem and he's a pain in the ass, is what I'm reading here.
Well, no, he's specifically working against the great problem. They put it black on white.
Become an obstacle, yes. I'm just saying you're using really strong language over a half-finished letter. It may be all we have to work with, but I'm not reading that as concrete as you are, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
What else do we have to go on, though?
You got a point there. I'm thinking I'm going to take these blueprints back to the U.S. and get some experts to look at them. That's what my plan is.
Didn't we just go out of our way to try to destroy every trace of them?
Yeah, but understanding what they are seems important. Yeah.
If there's any practical explanation of them.
Well, knowing how big they are might help.
Oh, well, yes, definitely.
Knowing what they're made of might help. Knowing what it intent, like, does it generate power? Is it generating thrust? Is it? There's too many unknowns.
Right. But when you're dealing with something on the mystical side of things, it might not do anything. Its purpose may simply be to turn counterclockwise.
It's an engine. I can tell by looking at it. I just need to know what it's trying to accomplish. And if nothing else, we need to know the size of it. Are we looking for something as big as a balloon, or are we looking for something as big as a teacup? I mean, it's bigger than a teacup, obviously. We've seen some of the parts, but is it a locomotive or is it a train? Or an automobile versus a train? Locomotive and train's kind of the same thing.
Mhm.
Didn't sleep well.
No. Did you Did you have an odd dream last night?
Oh, yeah, well, climbing steps, seeing a giant red eye. Kind of normal around these parts lately.
Okay. That was the dream that I had too.
Why not?
Chris,
Yep.
did we see each other in that dream? Or
Not,
did we each seem to be alone?
you each seem to be alone unless the other people were part of that throng of worshippers.
Ah.
Lovely. Thanks for planting that idea. Yep, that's an uncomfortable thought. And I didn't want to mention it while we were in London. But I thought I saw something.
What do you mean?
I mean that our last night in London, before we came here, I thought I saw something in one of the corners, like a not person, something.
Like a cat?
No, something large.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I saw something like that too.
Like a tempo? Sorry.
That's what we're gonna call it now. We're gonna call the thing in the corner a tempo. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a person. It had wings and a tail, or two. It was hard to tell. I'm trying to find the picture of it. Then it almost blended in with the dark, but not quite. It had. It looked like a sort of like a cow skull or a bison skull. It had
Oh, good.
the long sort of snout muzzle, shape, and then two curved horns that came back, sort of to the sides before curling back toward the skull.
And you saw that in our rooms?
I saw that in the corner, yes.
Where we left all of our stuff.
Well, at the time, we were leaving two people with it. But until Salvatore mentioned that he saw it too, I thought it was just a dream that I had had.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Honestly, I've been running on no sleep. I thought I was having one of those dreams again.
And
Well-
Evelyn's description, folks who have the Cthulhu Mythos skill can make a Cthulhu Mythos roll.
One.
Oh, BOY.
Does that include Evelyn?
Yep, as you're kind of ruminating on it.
I don't know what you're complaining about. I have no score. Haha.
No idea. Oh, wow.
Wow, Dr. Carter.
Dr. K. You have a 13 Cthulhu Mythos? Wow.
Yeah, I have problems.
Salvatore's got 14.
Salvatore's
Yes, you do.
14.
All right. So, Dr. Carter, as Evelyn is describing this thing, and people are realizing that, yes, I've seen this too, you're starting to go through the various books that you've read in your mind. You don't really want to look anything up. You're just kind of like, oh. And then you remember a quote that says, shocking and uncouth black things with smooth, oily, whale-like surfaces, unpleasant horns that curve inward toward each other, bat wings whose beating makes no sound, ugly prehensile paws, and barbed tails that lash needlessly and disquietingly. Worst of all, they never speak nor laugh and never smile because they have no face, but only a suggestive blankness where a face ought to be. And you realize that that passage refers to a creature of the dreamlands called a night gaunt. Night gaunts are dream creatures. They don't live in the waking world. But the passage you read that you saw the reference, since you actually got a hard success. The night gaunts are the servants of an entity called the Nodens. Nodens. Who in all of the books that you've read, all of the tablets and scrolls and things that you guys have come across, Nodens is the only entity that is described as being human-like. And in some of the passageways, not necessarily kind, but benevolent. And even that might be too strong a word.
Not actively malicious. How about that?
There you go. But he's been known to send night gaunts to protect those who oppose the crawling chaos.
I'm gonna mutter the physical description you just gave.
Okay.
After Evelyn made her description. I glazed a bit over. Yeah, that sounds like a night gaunt.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Or
Well,
how
it's not-
terrible is it?
It's not called Happy Unicorn.
It's not terrible. Evelyn, in any of the name you've heard the creature they're trying to summon, is the crawling chaos one of them?
Uh, let me do a quick control F. I didn't read it. Salvatore read it. It was in one of the French books.
I'll have to reference that, but those creature are envoy of Noetics, and she sometimes sends them to protect people who oppose the crawling chaos. And I think that's what we're fighting.
I thought it was the Lord of Bats.
He has many
Multiple
names.
name, one creature. But yeah, I understand the confusion, but I think it's either the same thing or the ensemble of things from which he's part.
Mhm.
Point
That's
is, wasn't that the night where you said you slept extremely well, Luther?
Yeah, I guess so.
Those things are creatures of dreams.
Sounds like an ugly ass angel to me.
Oh, they're. I mean, no disrespects to the night gone who are listening, but they're ugly as fuck. Um, but I mean, if you look at angel in the Bible, like there are a circle of eyes with fires, and like it's not reassuring. I understand why the catchphrase is "Fear not," because impressive. So don't judge the night gone by the oily skin and the flappy wings of bat that don't make any sound.
Think I might.
Yeah, I get your point, but we've been plagued by nightmare of things that might be, and for one night we had respite. It might be a boon granted to us because we oppose the crawling chaos. Given the boon came with oily skin and faceless creature that does not smile or laugh, but in that deal, I get what I can. It was
All right,
either
curved horns, wings, and two tails is good, apparently.
in this
And no
case.
face. And no face.
it was a good night for us. It gave us a bit of rest. The question is, was it summoned on our behalf, or was it sent by their master?
That's
Wait, are you saying that we could have summoned it?
Possibly.
Alvin
someone would
looks
have
around
to
the
do it on
room.
purpose, though. You don't
I mean,
summon anything accidentally.
oh no! If it was someone, it was somebody did the things and walked the steps. But it could have been someone we that know of us. Is what I'm getting at.
Well, really, the only one who knows about us is the woman from the spice shop.
Or Jack Brady.
And I'm not sure
I
that
don't think Jack knows about us, unless he's been in touch with Elias's lawyer.
I was going to say the only other person I can think of that knows us is Elias's lawyer.
Hmm. And I don't think he's been doing anything otherworldly.
well,
The girl from the
that's a
spice shop knows us.
Yes, exactly. She's the only one who does, really.
but I'm not sure she's benevolent in any way.
Was that
The
I'm
woman who
trying to
does punch stuff.
remember. No, I know. That was. I'm trying to remember. That was if it was before or after we went after Gavigan.
Trying to remember what?
I'm trying. It was after. It was after we killed Gavigan.
I think so.
That you went to see her?
No.
Oh, the night gaunt. Yes.
Well, I
after,
mean, it was after we went to see her too. Yes.
It was after Gavigan. I confirm.
Right. That this thing showed up. So she would have known that we had just done her an incidental favor.
But if the crawling chaos is the thing she serve, I don't think she would summon things from her enemy.
Right. That's very true.
You said there was a
So-
reference to that in the French book?
One of the French manuscripts that Salvatore was reading. I remember him mentioning it.
Okay, I'm just gonna cross-reference that to make sure whose enemy's enemy is our ally. Just to make sure that the crawling chaos is who I think it is. Because if we have something that might actually be on our side in that menagerie of nightmare, I'd like to know.
Mhm. It would be nice to be able to summon a good night's sleep every now and then.
And just prevent people from prying on our dreams.
That too, yes.
Because in the one of the recent book I read, I read about sending people message through dreams.
Oh,
That's definitely something Gavigan had in his arsenal. So he might not be the only one.
And Evelyn can give
Yes.
me intelligence roll.
I'm gonna scuffle around for the French manuscript.
Okay. Perfect. Evelyn, you do know that the mask that you studied, that you picked up in New York,
hmm
the four deities that were on it,
hmm
one of them was Nodin's.
Oh,
right.
oh, um, Nodens. Wait, yes. Um, that that is the bowl.
A bowl?
The copper bowl. The sigil that was on. There was one sigil that was on the headband, the mask, and the bowl. And you mentioned at that time that the deity, Nodens, provided protection from the night gaunts. I thought.
No, the
I
headband.
may have misheard you.
The headband. Protect from the night
Yeah.
gone.
And you mentioned that the symbol for Nodens was similar to that protective sign that you learned.
Yeah. The elder sign.
Right. And I don't think any of us did anything with that.
Well, if you think about it, if the headband protects against the night gaunt and the night gaunt oppose the people who serve the crawling chaos, and the people we're fighting are serving the crawling chaos. That makes sense that they would have a headband to protect themselves against the servant of their enemy.
Right. That does make a certain sense. Okay. Trying to piece together someone else's
I
mythology.
might need to study that headband a bit further.
Well, now that we have a little more information, we can certainly look over the items.
No. Some of the thing I just locked away because I didn't know what they would entail, but
Mm-hmm.
even if Noden is not necessarily something we want to deal with, it's certainly safer than dealing with any of those other cryptic eternal motherfucker. Like, it's not friendly, but it's not actively against us, and it's opposed to things we are opposed.
So as I kind of go through the various books that folks have read, Salvatore, in one of the early books that you read, the which one is it here? The Selection de Livre Divin, the one where you learned that spell that you used to kind of shunt down the magical divination on you. As everybody's talking about Nodens and this and that, you do remember that there are passages in that book that discuss a great enmity between the Black Pharaoh and Nodens. This relationship between the two of them, this antagonistic relationship between the two of them, is fairly well documented in the books that you've read.
I'm still trying to remember like the initial reference to Nodens, but so it's in this French book.
Yes. And yeah, he's directly opposed to the Black Pharaoh, otherwise known as the father of all bats, crawling chaos, the Nyarlathotep, the bloated lady, the Lord of the Woods, the bloody tongue. Probably a couple of other names you haven't found yet. Basically, the relationship between Nodens and Nyarlathotep, or whatever name they are going by at the time, is one of the kind of central deific relationships in the mythology that you've stumbled across.
Okay, so so I'll chime in with from what I remember reading from those French books, the Nodens and this Black Pharaoh appear to be at odds with one another. If that's important for this venture.
Yeah, that might be useful. I don't want to deal too much with those things, but if one of them aids the one we dealing against, I might be less terrified of trying to get its assistance.
Only slightly less.
Yeah, I mean, some incantation like the one that prevented divination, if it call on its power instead of calling on the power of something I don't know the first thing about, I'm gonna go with the one that calls upon the enemy of my enemy. That makes any sense?
Mm-hmm.
I know it doesn't, but like globally.
So, we're down Bill. We need to go to Shanghai. And Luther, you
The
said
the
you
thing that protected against divination was it also the thing that prevented us from leaving?
we had to stay in its circle, yes.
But like, was it the physical barrier that came with it too?
From what I recall.
Okay, not something we can use to hide our movement.
Not really, no. And I'm not entirely sure how big it could get. I don't think it would be quite enough for us to. I mean, it might be useful if we were trying to hide inside a building or something. But that would
No,
be.
it's just that the the spice lady knows too much about our movement, and I wanted to find a way for us to be able to do something with our knowledge.
I'm not enthusiastic about the idea of trying to go against her.
I mean, we also would need or not to notify the people in Shanghai we're coming, or the people in Kenya, or the people in Australia.
Well, I mean, that depends. If she's on the side of this Nodens creature.
Oh, I think she's not. From what
I
I've
don't
seen of
know.
her, I'm doubting that she would call the Night Gaunt to protect us. I think she would be at odd with Noden.
Even though we've just done her a favor by getting rid of Gavigan and
Oh
telling her
yeah,
that.
it would make sense for her to give us a little boon, maybe, but I don't think she would deal with Nodens in any way.
That's
Her little
unfortunate.
boon was a time limit to get out of London.
Yep. I don't think we can deal with her at the ritual, but I think that maybe we should do so before leaving.
And how do you suggest that? She knows, or seems to, know an awful lot about us.
It's not because I think we should that I know how.
Isn't that the one that can is probably listening in this conversation right now?
Yes.
Kind of hard to kill that one.
Yep.
I'd call that a future problem. I think we're outgunned on that particular lady.
I think we should start thinking about moving.
I think we should make preparations to go to Shanghai. See if we can find this Brady fellow. Because if we stay here much longer, the police are likely to start looking for, if nothing else. We've been the strangers from overseas in too many places, I think, at this point.
China seems to be the logical next choice.
Seems to be, now that we've agreed on where this Brady fellow stands.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just kind of assume that you guys are getting ready to go to Shanghai then.
I'm gonna get when we get back to London. I'm gonna get the knife I ordered,
Yep.
and I'm probably gonna try to enchant the knife.
Okay. Right. And Luther is going to take the blueprints to the U.S. to get them studied.
That's his intent. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't continue this. This is beyond what I believe I've signed up for. I'm going to be leaving you all at this point, and I wish you all the best, but I have a wife to get back to, and I don't want to end up like Bill and leave my wife a widow.
That's understandable.
You can sail back with me, so.
That sounds lovely.
I get it.
Is there some way you want to be able to reach us in case you need our help?
Yeah, we'll do it through the lawyer, right? Well, wherever I end up, I'll leave my contact with him, and if you need to reach out, you do the same. Whatever I find out, I'll pass it along.
So, Alvin, that means you're coming with Dr. Carter and I?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a lack of sleep talking, but I need to know. Maybe I don't need to know, but I need to know more than I know now. If I don't, and something goes bad, I need to do something.
I'll check in the little black book if we can get some assistance to try to keep us safe.
The little black book.
With all of the name of Elias associate that he left us.
Oh, yes. That little black book.
And Luther, try to stay safe. I'll look for a way to fix your arm.
Yeah, sure, we'll get it figured out.
Like
I'll be all
someone,
right.
like someone I don't really like said once. There's probably somebody somewhere that sold his eternal life for a cure for something like that, and he might have written that into a book.
Yeah. I'd rather that magic stay away from me.
Well, for now, just try to stay safe.
I'm going to try to keep you safe by getting you some answers, is what I'm going to try to do.
Yeah. Salvador, make sure nobody is following you or anything like that. If you want to keep your family safe.
I will.
All right. So as we kind of fade out a little bit of a montage scene, basically everybody's getting ready to grab their boat to Shanghai. It is going to be a long voyage.
Can I
In a
just
slow
do
boat to
one
China.
tiny thing for flavor?
Yep.
Alvin's going to give Luther his flask, and Alvin asks Luther if he can keep the 45.
Yeah. And one other thing. Luther reaches into his jacket with his good arm, obviously, and pulls out the half of a Bible that we split a while ago. You might need all this where you're going.
Keep it. I'll get another one, a full one on the way. It's just it'll make me feel better that you have half.
All right. Stay sharp. If I find a plane, maybe I'll come get you.
I'll remember to call.
That'd be lovely.
All right. So as everybody starts to make their travel arrangements, Salvatore and Luther heading back to the States to family and to continue investigating these blueprints. The rest making their way to China. But periodically, as you guys are kind of making your travel arrangements over the next day or so, there's going to be like a shot in the montage of people kind of stopping by the sanitarium to, say goodbye to Bill, even though at this point he doesn't recognize anybody. He's heavily sedated. When he is lucid, he just talks about needing to get away, needing to get out. Something is coming. Something is coming. Which is interspersed with scenes of Dr. Carter picking up this knife that he had commissioned, made out of pure metal, gold, iron, something pure. But in order to enchant the knife, it must be used to sacrifice an animal of at least size 20. So something about the size of a large dog.
Hey, Bill.
No, specifically an animal.
Wow, that went dark.
Yikes!
So for
At this point, Bill is considered a vegetable, not an animal.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh. Yikes!
all right,
This is pretty good.
So casting the spell does take D4 sanity points from Dr. Carter, and I rolled a 4.
Yeah.
And how much power do you want to put into the knife? Basically, the knife will count as an enchanted item for things that can be damaged by enchanted items, but every point of power that you put into it adds 1% if you ever decide to just summon a dimensional shambler.
I'm sorry, what does that mean exactly, that last piece?
You don't want to know.
There's a creature called the Dimensional Shambler that its attack is it grabs the enemy and hauls them into a different dimension and leaves them there.
So he gets an increased percent chance every time he uses the knife that this thing grabs him?
No, if he learns the spell to summon a Dimensional Shambler, every point of power he puts into the knife now when he's enchanting it increases his odds of successfully summoning one.
God.
Well, that's disturbing.
Yes, very much so. Is none an option?
You have to put in at least one.
Okay, and is that permanent power or is that a temporary power? I don't know how power work yet.
It's permanent.
Why would you not invest like 4 points or 10 points into that? I'm just curious, because it means that in the future your spells can, if you go crazy or if the DM possesses you, he can use that against you. Because that's always fun.
That's exactly why. It's like asking Trustius why he doesn't cast everything at the most power he can.
Yeah, you haven't watched her Forbidden Lands.
Fire.
I mean, there's a difference between Alvin and Jaime, right? So
is that power in fusion just affect the number of point I get for dimensional shambler kit thing?
Yes.
Oh god.
I mean, it also affects your power overall since you lose permanent power, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Which means your spells in the future are going to be less oomphy.
I kind of need that power to make Elder Sign and shit like that.
Yeah, and incidentally, one of the books that you have access to does tell you how to summon a Dimensional Shambler.
Oh yeah, that's in my spell list.
Okay.
How did we get spell lists? Anyway, go on.
From reading books.
Some of us have
Using
been reading
books.
books.
It's not a big loss, Alvin, because half of those spell are things that I'm like, oh my god, no, this should not exist.
Yeah.
Like, I do not want to contact Nyarlathotep. Like, no, just no. But that's the kind of shit that's in the book.
one of the spells that one of the PCs has summons Azathoth. The spell specifically says, if this spell is successfully cast, the world ends.
Great. Hopefully.
You can end it on your terms.
And you shit on Trustius. I'll get you.
All right. So how much power do you want to put into the
I
knife?
don't have this.
So I need to put 1 power for it to work.
Yep.
And every other percent is a chance for more of that spell to work.
Yeah.
I do think that even if I want to cast that spell, permanent power is not something I want to waste. So I'm just going to go with 1.
All right. And then finally, 2 successfully casted spells after 8 hours or 2 hours of chanting and sacrificing animals and letting the blood flow onto this sigil, which is like interspersed with signs of like the more normal members of your team making like buying travel tickets and picking up their berth on the ship. So to learn a spell, you need to make a power roll.
I had a question.
Yes.
There was another spell called the Vorish Sign
Yep.
that would make another spell more efficient.
It does make another spell easier.
And I was wondering if it would work on that spell.
It absolutely does.
Okay. Because I might want to use the first one to help the second one. Like, use Vorish Sign to make the knife easier.
All right. So you want to learn Verse Sign as well?
Yes.
All right. So that will cost you another sanity point.
Yes.
Here we go.
Might as well do it now.
And a magic point that'll replenish over an hour.
Okay.
And to learn Verse Sign, make a power roll.
So I click there. Okay, that works.
Ooh, you successfully learned Verse Sign with no side effects.
Look at you go.
Why
Oh,
do you
yeah,
sound
right.
surprised, Chris?
I'll wait for it.
Oh no.
All right. So you practice these arcane hind signs that will make casting any spells a little bit easier. So now that you know this spell, you no longer need to roll to cast it. You just need to spend the magic point and the point of sanity to cast Force Sign.
Okay.
And then you begin to enchant your knife. So again, you can spend another magic point, another point of sanity.
Yes.
And you can make a power roll. It
Do
will
I
make.
get it?
Sorry.
I just asking if the Vorish Sign changed that roll.
Normally, to successfully cast a spell, it's a hard power roll to do it the first time. The Verse Sign will make it an easy or a regular power roll.
Okay. I'll take that.
All right.
It worked.
It worked. But yes, when you're learning to cast a spell, if you fail that initial roll, you can't learn the spell. But if you push the spell casting roll, guaranteed to work. But then there's a chart you roll on to see what bad thing happens.
Oh, okay. So
Pretty
the
bad
Vorish
thing.
Sign first was the good plan.
But yes, so you have successfully enchanted this knife.
For narrative purposes, in the montage, there's a sign of Dr. Carter making the knife and the sign and sacrificing something and stuff happening. It's probably a goat or something of that nature. But there might be a couple of scene of Dr. Carter trying to see if he could get an angle to just shoot the lady from the spice house and abandoning his plan.
Perfect. All right. And with that, as you guys get ready to set sail for Shanghai, we will finally do development phase. So on your character sheet now, development phase should be an option.
Yep.
Yep.
So if you click development phase, it'll upgrade your skills based on what you have used over the course of this adventure.
Can you believe I actually upgraded my fast talk?
Oh, wow.
I'm like looking to see what might potentially change.
Now that I've decided to ignore the law, I have increased my law.
Ooh. Evelyn's fighting Brawwood up after that scrap with
Right?
with people. Perfect. All right. Travel. The travel time to Shanghai takes a while. It is actually from England to Shanghai the better part of a month. So for those of you who are traveling, you can upgrade a couple of skills during this time.
Woohoo!
So you can increase, you can either learn a new skill that you don't already have any development in, or you can increase two skills that you already have.
Was there a
And what's the
special
amount?
clause for language?
Increasing a skill that you already have, it goes up by a D4. And learning a new skill goes up by a D10 plus 1.
Was there a special rule for learning language on ships?
Nope. Same amount. Like, it's a new skill if you don't already have the language, so it's a D10 plus 1.
But as long as you have one, you're considered fluent.
To be fluent in a language, I think it's like 50%. 30% means you can be understood. Anything less than that is halting.
Okay.
But you guys can figure out what skills you want. We can always like do those roles next game. When you arrive in Shanghai, Mark will have his new character there that can meet you. And I'll send you a link there, Mark, so that you can make the character sheet online. And I'll give you like some extra points to put into skills to kind of bring you up experience-wise with everybody else.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Perfect.
Can we take some time on the trip to read books?
You can. You've got a month.
Okay, because Salvatore had read some, and we won't have him around, so
Yep.
want to patch it a bit.
I am more than happy to take away people's sanity as they read books.
Ha!
I already lost some sanity, so might as well bring down the maximum.
But yes, we will pick up next week in Shanghai.
Alrighty.
Perfect. Have a good evening, folks. We'll see most of you tomorrow for Forbidden Lands.
Yep.
And thank you,
Oh
Tony.
yeah, we're in a bad spot.
We'll
And
see
thank
for
you,
how
Tony, for
long.
being with us up to this point.
Yeah, we'll see you on the next game. Thank you, Chris, for running.
Perfect. Have a good evening,
Cheers,
folks.
guys.
Punch. Bye, everyone.
Night, guys.
Thanks for everything, everyone. Good night.
Take care.